Those that are smart learn from their mistakes. They find ways to progress in life, make themselves better. But those that are wise, they've learned from the mistakes of others. They don't go through the same hardships. They're able to look from the outside in and able to take the same lessons without actually going through it. Me, I went through a lot of hardships in my life. For some reason, I was bold-headed. I just always chose the path of most resistance. I was not wise at all. It took me a long time to even become smart. Like I said, I was bold-headed. For me, I had to have a near-death experience. I had to basically die sitting right here where I'm telling this video on my porch in front of my wife and daughter, begging on their knees for me to come back. I was severely septic. Um, I remember seeing the lights coming in on me and everything. From there, tunnel vision, everything was closing in. I'll tell that story at a later time though. But for me, it took a real wake up call for me to be able to even become smart. God had to physically come down and grip me up and and, and make me wise, make me smart enough. But since then, I feel like I've always been an introvert. I've never been. It's hard. I'm not a very like open type of person. I've never been that way. But since then, something's has inside of my soul feels like maybe I need to open up and share some of my stories in my life, and so that people out there can learn from my mistakes. I hope that there's wise individuals out there that will see this content on this channel, watch my videos. I'm gonna tell some crazy stories they're stories of drugs, murder, deceit, lies, um, just heartache, broken hearts. There's a lot of tragedy. I'll tell multiple stories. I'm gonna break them up, and I just really hope that people out there can learn from my mistakes. Because the biggest thing I want everyone out there to take from this is that I learned in recent years, especially that how important our thought patterns are. We become our thoughts. We are our thoughts, slowly becoming them. The more we think negative stuff, the more bitter we're going to become. It's going to be a slow change. You won't even realize it. You'll just, before you know it, you're saying, I don't like the person I've become. And your thought patterns are so bad, you don't even know how to stop them. You're thinking negative stuff about other people constantly, about yourself constantly. For me, it was about myself. I struggled with deep depression through my life. I'll tell stories of how that progressed, how it started. I come from my parents had me when they were young, when they were 18 in high school. My dad was alcoholic, drug addict. Um, he just and abusive. He was very abusive. He used to beat my mom. When they split, and then he got my stepmom. He beat her too. Um, I would have to still visit him every other weekend, and throughout my childhood, I always had to visit him and whatnot. Um, but he was very verbally abusive, like especially to me, like because he couldn't stand my mom and my grandma or whatever. There was like a jealousy there, you know what I mean? Because he just because they were just more better put together people, help put together people who were doing a little bit better in life than him, and he was bitter of that. So he would always take it out on me. He would on Christmases and anytime I get gifts, he would always bash me and batter, just call me names and just was real mean to me. And yeah, and just it progressed with the years. He he's in prison now, so I'll tell that a story and a deeper story on that later, like because I don't really want to go kind of keep things in chronological order, but yeah, my dad's in prison for murder. So you can imagine that he isn't didn't have most even tempered person, you know what I mean, growing up. So I'm sure you can imagine, but I'll get into that at a later time too. But yeah, I got a lot to tell. But I just want people to my stories. I want them to always know that there could be a positive outcome to anything. Anything you hear every day, you should be trying to learn from other people. Don't never be egotistical and think that you're above anyone. There could be something to learn from anyone in any situation. You might not know it. Things always appear easy in hindsight, but like it's easy to connect the dots looking backwards. You can't looking forward. Things don't seem so easy. You know what I mean at the time. So, but all these events that I'll tell you and stories in my life, I didn't handle in the right way. It just built on me. I slowly became more of a bitter person, handling things wrong, doing not masking my pain, whatever I was doing. Um, so I did not handle things right, and that's where my mind just started to fester. And I started to. My dad would always tell me I was a piece of crap. I was nothing. I would never be anything. You're nothing. Just he would go off on me, call me every day and tell me this stuff, even when I wasn't visiting him. Whatever. He just I don't know. He just didn't like my mom. Like I said, it was real jealousy there that was taken out on me. But me being a boy at the time, but even I see like how men are supposed to be in society. Like we got to take it. We're not supposed to admit pain or that we have problems or whatever. So every step along the way in my life, I just held it in. Never would tell anyone. My mom had me see like a counselor when I was a kid at one point, but I didn't open up or anything. It didn't work. You know what I mean? I probably didn't, I don't know. It didn't work out, but I wasn't. I'm a very introverted person. I didn't like speaking my problems. So I just let things fester on me throughout my life. I just would, and them seeds were planted that my like almost more my dad would like verbally like abuse me. I started to like verbally abuse myself in my own head, like everything I would do, like why'd you do you piece? Like I was just very mean into myself throughout my whole life, silently. It was like a silent killer in my mind that like I never would tell anyone about. Everyone would think I'm good from the outside in, but inside my own mind I was not. I was very cruel to myself. I was always bad to myself. So these patterns were created, and they were very hard to break throughout the years. It took me till recently. It, I'll get into it to even figure this out and like realize I needed to like change this to save my life because it was at a point where like I'm like, man, I'm not gonna make it. I feel like it's like I'm so depressed I could barely get myself out of bed and type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like my body feels so heavy all the time. So like, and I just if it wasn't for my wife and daughter, like who knows, like what I would have done. You know what I mean? I just would surviving for my family. You know what I mean? All the time, like because I have to. But just my thought patterns are horrible. Everything I thought was always f this swear words. I'm trying to cut out the swear words too where I just don't even swear, not even in my mind, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, the things you're saying to other people, and everything's all good. What really matters is what's going on in your own mind. I want everyone to realize that, especially kids out there listening to this. What's going on in your mind matters so much more than you'll ever realize. Like I cannot get across how serious this is to have the right thought patterns from a young age, as young as you can. If you already got bad thought patterns, you got to break them. It's hard. You gotta, because every thought, I have a very racy mind. So like all day, every day, how am I never gonna be batter myself and tell myself f this, f that? I don't even want to talk that way because I broke that. I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. It's very rare, but I catch myself. But so it's going to be a slow process where like for me, I had to really every time catch myself and force myself to think positive things. I would tell myself every day, like even though I felt weird saying it, I would repeat like I love you, you love yourself, you love yourself. Just start telling yourself positive things, and it'll slowly progress. It seems like it takes a while, but it'll slowly get better. You'll slowly start not even thinking that way. And me, I did that. I'm 35. I did it my whole life. Bad to myself in my head, and I was starting to not become nice to other people in my own head too. Like I would be bashing other people in my own head constantly too, and I'm just like, this is not a nice place to be, like constantly. So I got to change this. And it took me near death experience, like I said, death closing in on me, the lights. I'll tell that story later. I'm gonna wrap this up. Maybe someday I'll even have my wife tell her side of the story of what happened when I died, and she says, well, I didn't have a pulse and came back, like pretty much I was there, like, but so it took a real rude awakening for me to wake up, and I was grim. I didn't really, I used to go to church when I was a kid and believe in God and everything, but I kind of lost my faith throughout the years. I became dark as more and more bad things happened to me, and I didn't handle them the right way in my head. I just became very bitter towards life, and I don't even want to be here anymore. Like, I don't even care about God. Like, I did, God, why do you like take me out, God? I don't want to even be here. Like, and I was mad at God for not taking me out. And but when I passed, I felt something. There was a real, I could feel an aura there, this positivity there, this energy everywhere. It was all around me, everywhere. I never left my body or anything like that. I just remember the lights closing on me, something telling me to let go, it was going to be all right, and a million things making sense. It was like, I remember all these questions I always wondered about life making sense, like all at the same time. Like, there were so many questions in my head. I never heard a clean voice, but it's almost like something speaking to me through my heart making sense, if that makes sense, as crazy as that sounds. It was like God doesn't talk through words, he speaks through your heart. That's what I realized. And if you pay attention, you just might hear something. Thank you. I'm gonna start telling stories in the next video here. And I hope you guys gain value from my content. And I really hope maybe I could save people's lives, honestly.